Alright, so I'd like to share some thoughts for what to include in a book that I'm pre-writing and drafting. So basically, in short, I believe we can apply mathematical models, particularly in the
약 300m 전방 회전 교차로에서
emergence
12시 방향입니다.
of
진입 시
quantum
회전
physics.
차량에 양보하세요.
So you're gonna have to forgive that I'm actually driving and I should be focusing on driving. However, both hands are on the steering wheel and I do have to listen to the audible navigation cues from this current navigation.
전방에 과속 방지턱이 있습니다. 잠시 후 회전 교차로에서 12시 방향입니다. 진입 시 회전 차량에 양보하세요.
So, yes. So the emerging understanding and research of quantum physics and even quantum computing, the mathematical models that are being used to make sense out of super complex
어린이 보호 구역입니다.
information.
전방에 과속 방지턱 구간입니다. 약 500m 전방에서
We're using that.
좌회전입니다.
We're using that to help to explore possibilities with quantum computing. One particular example that I learned a bit about is the representation of an electron's energy represented in a matrix known as a Hamiltonian. So this model, although it's being used for that, I believe can be used for foreign policy development, foreign policy research even. The main argument I think is the late great Alan Turing
약 300m 전방에서 좌회전입니다.
used his thought process was, and he realized really early in the game that when it comes to a super complex code like Enigma that the Nazis were using, in order to break such a code, even if you have gathered an array of the best and brightest cream of the crop in one room constantly, no matter how hard you bang your brains, you're not going to beat something that was created by a machine. You need a machine to break a machine's code. Therefore, the invention and the development of the Turing machine. So I believe that thought process that posture for
잠시 후 좌회전입니다. 이어서
foreign policy,
목적지 부근입니다.
I believe we can use that for making sound foreign policy. So I am going to go into a bit of detail to explain why I believe that is true. Just as you input a lot of noise, written information into these mathematical models for exploring possibilities in quantum computing, you can take this information, noise-ridden information from, say, news media sources, trends of leadership's voters, the likelihood of allowing, for example, refugees into your country, the likelihood of them being infiltrating and having malicious intent for establishing some type of terrorist facilities, and the other, which is your possibility of investing into a positive image for
잠시 후
political
목적지
development,
부근입니다.
and the chance that those refugees will actually develop and help you establish better foreign relations that are more sound, and basically help confirm that whatever foreign
잠시
policy you
후
made,
목적지 부근입니다.
whatever foreign policy you made about the refugee, what should we call it, refugee acceptance or dismissal, is a sound decision. So I believe we can explore lots of input variables and put them into a cloud, right? And I want to say a subcloud. And this cloud has the ability to compute that information. Now, although that information will be quite abstracted from its information source, be it and that sources from the very noisy reality of the environmental whether they're environmental variables or even psychological variables, relevant psychological variables of, say, the leaders and the statistical analysis of potential refugees. That noise-ridden information, I believe, can be plugged into the mathematical models that are being used, say, or being attempted to use, say, in hedge funds. You're trying to hedge the risk of the decisions that you're making in a very complex environment where it's very difficult to figure out what's going on and then make a sound decision. So, although the numbers are not going to be dug into at this point of the book, it's more at an abstract level of the potential of how these things can happen, and it's more a offering of ideas to the experts of quantum computing and their deep, intimate understanding of the mathematical and statistical models that they can apply to reality, be it quantum computing or sound foreign policy development. So I believe this will be a good page turner for a book, and hopefully the individuals turning the pages are somewhere in the vicinity of making good decisions for for a larger scale. I'm talking about a national, international, and basically the global scale. And again, a global scale, I believe, is appropriate for the underlying pattern recognition, for the underlying inferenceability, or the predicative use of such models to a very difficult to think type of environment. So I believe this can be good fuel for think tanks and think and do tanks out there that help to inform decision makers to make the best decision for their purpose of employment by state. So I believe that's all I have to say for now. Thank you for tolerating the Korean navigation in the background. But you can definitely, I believe we can put this into a book and perhaps craft it such that it can help to really cultivate a sound and maybe even profound awareness that will lead to, I want to quote some gangster rappers that I used to like, is upsetting the setup, but not in a revolutionary way, right? But to upset the setup in a sustainable speed, at a sustainable fashion, because obviously global issues are very delicate, and so you cannot revolutionize at the speed of some idealist emotion at the root of late and not so great past fallen revolutionaries. One trend that I would like to share my thoughts on in terms of late, some were great and some were not so great revolutionaries of our times. Their livelihood was short and sweet. Be it the revolution of educating Chinese martial arts to foreigners in one of my heroes, Bruce Lee, or be it some political revolutionary like the one like Chiang Kai-shek in Taiwan, or political revolutionaries of Chavez in the Latin Americas. It's very difficult to say that their actions are sustainable. So I believe those are super catalysts, and maybe they're a little too loud for being sustainable and actually having long-term growth and long-term the ability to cultivate in a good direction. But their sacrifice is quite legendary and quite profound. So thank you for listening, and again, this is Alex Kim, and I hope to add more great ideas to a book that will certainly open educate and nurture all the great minds out there.